Another important option that we have in transition is post functions. Post function carry out additional processing after a transition is executed. Jira has default 5 post functions that one cannot delete or edit. Let's look at these default post functions. Set issue status to the linked status of the destination workflow step. So after a transition is executed, Jira automatically changes the status to the destination status of any issue. It also adds a comment to an issue if one is entered during a transition. It also updates change history for an issue and store the issue in the internal database. Jira also reindex an issue after a transition is executed to keep in sync with the database. It also fires a generic event that can be processed by the listeners. We will talk about these generic events later in the notification scheme. These default post functions cannot be deleted or reordered from a transition. However, one can insert other post function between them. To add a post function, click on Add Post Function. Following are the options of the post function that we can add with a transition. The post functions that we have, we can assign the issue to the current user. We can also assign it to the lead developer. We can also assign it to a reporter, or we can trigger a webhook once the transition gets executed. So I have choose in my workflow reopen transition that changes the status from close. I want to add a post function for the reopen transition. Reopen transition changes the status of an issue from in review to reopen. Once the user changes the status from in review to reopen, I want the issue to get automatically assigned to the current user. For that, I need to add the post function assign to current user. Click on add. We can see that our post function gets added. So we can assign the issue to the current user once the status of the issue changes from in review to reopened. We can also change the order of execution of the post function. So we have this arrow to move up and move down. So if I move down, I can see the post function execution changes to 3. We also have an option to delete the post function that we have defined in case of our transition. Let's say I want to add one more post function for my another transition. Click on workflow. Click on inactive. So this is our workflow that we have created. Click on add it. Click on diagram. So we have already defined a post function for the reopen transition. Let's say I want to define a post function for one more transition that is open. Click on post functions. Now I want to add a post function for this open transition. Click on Add Post Function Transition. I want my issue to get automatically assigned to lead developer once the transition gets executed. Click on Assign to lead developer. Click on Add. So we can see our post function gets added. We can use move up or move down key to change the execution order of the post function according to a requirement. So this is all about the post functions. Now we have covered all the options that we have in transition. Click on workflows. Here we can see there are two types of workflows, active workflows and inactive workflows. So what are active workflows? Active workflows are those workflows which are associated with the project. On the other hand, inactive workflows are the workflows which are not yet associated with any project. So the workflow that we have created lies under inactive workflow. The name of the workflow that we have created is PM1003. To make this workflow active, we have to associate this workflow with any of the project. Currently, we can see with all our projects, we have a default workflow associated. Let's see how we can associate our project with our custom workflow. To add a workflow to our project, click on Settings, click on Projects. So here's the list of projects that we have in our Jira. Choose our project. Click on Workflows. Here's an option to add workflow. So there are two options, Add Existing, Import from Bundle. Click on Add Existing. So we can see all the workflows that we have in our Jira. Let's select the workflow that we have created, that is PM1003. Click on Next. Select all the issue types. Click on Finish. Now finally, to associate our workflow with our project, we need to click on Publish. So now our workflow gets associated with our project. Now click on Edit. Click on Workflows again. Now we can see our workflows become active and our project gets associated with our custom workflow. Here's a warning message that we can see. To delete a workflow, you must first unassign it from all workflow scheme and draft workflow scheme. So to delete a workflow, we have to first make the workflow inactive. That means we need to deassociate the workflow with the project. So workflow is a very important part of a project. We can also change the workflow scheme for a running project in Jira, but it is not advisable to do that. After workflow, further we will see other settings that a project administrator need to take care of before initiating a project in Jira.